Hey everybody. The other night during a live stream, I was asked about a particular product and whether or not that would be a good idea to use to quick start somebody's aquarium. Somebody was setting up their first aquarium, they were new to the hobby, they were just getting involved in it, and they wanted to know if this particular product would be a good product to use to get their aquarium set up right away so they could start putting fish in it. Now, I didn't have any experience with the product, and so I was not able to comment on that one way or the other. But it did get me thinking about whether or not it's a good idea to fast start our first aquarium at all. I'm known for saying, not my quote, but I am known for quoting someone and saying that nothing good ever happens fast in the aquarium hobby. I always preach about being patient and just taking a step back, taking a deep breath, waiting, watching, letting things unfold. I don't ever really, suggest people medicating their tanks really quickly. In other words, it's a slow-paced hobby. Everything we do in the hobby is generally very slow-paced. We buy fish, we quarantine them for sometimes a month or 6 weeks before they even go into the tank. It takes weeks to properly set up a tank through a natural cycle. It takes months and months to fully mature a tank. This is not the kind of hobby where you get a whole lot of instant gratification. And so if you go into the hobby on your very first experience, the very first tank you set up, if you just set it up with the expectation of, I'm going to do all these things to it, I'm going to put this miracle juice in there, and I'm going to have a nice, fully functional, safe environment for my fish to live in by this afternoon, I don't think that's necessarily a good precedent to set in what you should sort of expect out of the hobby as you're entering into it and you're new to the hobby. So for my personal opinion, I think that the nitrogen cycle and what's going on in the nitrogen cycle is every bit as fascinating as simply watching the fish swim around. There's a lot of neat stuff going on in your aquarium as part of the whole ecosystem and the chemistry and the water chemistry and everything. There's a lot of neat stuff that's going on in there. And so I recommended to this person during my live stream, I do a live stream every Friday and Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time if you're interested in checking those out. But I suggested to them that a good way to start would be to start by doing an all-natural cycle, letting it take a full month to develop, learning about the cycle, watching the stages as it happens, checking the tank, monitoring the water conditions. You'll be learning about the hobby and getting a really, really good foundational understanding on the most important part of the hobby, which is the nitrogen cycle. That's the key piece that keeps your fish alive and everything in your tank alive is that nitrogen cycle. If you don't have a good working understanding of the nitrogen cycle, you can really run into issues later. You may not. You may be one of those people that just does a 10% weekly and 25% monthly water change and you'll have no problems for years on end. I've met plenty of people like that. But for me, I tinker around with my tanks and I do enough stuff and I change things around enough that I really need to have a good fundamental understanding of the nitrogen cycle. And I wish I'd learned that from day one. I didn't. I learned how to buy a bunch of fish and set up a tank that afternoon and then, get it through the cycle until it was safe for the fish to be. And that's just not a good way of doing it. And so, in my opinion, the best way to start the hobby is by sort of getting yourself used to the idea that this is a slow-paced hobby. Nothing ever happens fast. Nothing good ever happens fast anyway. And we're just going to wait and we're going to watch this tank establish. And once it's ready, I'll have had time to think about the plants I want to put in or the fish I want to put in. And I'll have time to have thought about the community or whatever. And it'll give you time to learn and understand. So, of course, during the live stream, while I was, expounding my thoughts, several other people commented, oh, yeah, that's a great product, or no, or whatever. I don't even remember what the results were, but a bunch of people already responded to that person who apparently was like, yay, thanks, and really didn't seem to care all that much about what I had to say about, taking it easy, learning to do it the slow way, etc. They were just happy to hear that this magic product would make their fish tank safe for fish to go in that afternoon, and that's all they were looking for, I guess. But that's my opinion. opinion, and I'd be interested to hear yours. So please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Is that a good way to start the hobby? Or is it better to just, get right into it and get the fish in there, because, making sure everybody's excited about the hobby and wants to stay involved in it. There's some argument to be made for that too. You make people wait a month before they can even put their first fish in the tank. That might turn a lot of people away from the hobby. So if you want to, encourage people to share the hobby and fall in love with it, maybe the idea of getting some fish right away so they can start enjoying it isn't necessarily a bad idea either. So again, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I tend to think I wish I had done it the other way. I wish I had learned the patient way. I had to learn patience the hard way in the fish keeping hobby, and we all know what the hard way in the fish keeping hobby is, and it's an expensive way too. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'd be interested to hear yours. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. Again, every Friday and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I do a live stream. And every Wednesday night, I do a live stream for my members only. So if you're interested in that, you can check out a basic membership and you'll get access to that live stream as well. So thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See you real soon in the next one.